Hi, I'd like to start the show with a song. New you. This is a song that's being offered by Dwayne Hepner. Dwayne, the great writer, the founder of the New Presentation, wonderful worldwide educators. The New You song is what's called The Real Connection with Rebaz Artars, who's a universal guide, and the Real Guides with All Life Now. It's for those that want real guidance and a real education. So if a person tests it for themselves, like for 15 minutes before they go to sleep each evening, and 15 minutes or so when they wake up in the morning, and find out for themselves what life shows them. The New Presentation is presenting new books that Dwayne has wrote and that are available at lulu.com. The Adventure Is series to read and see for yourself what's being presented. There are different projects a person can become involved with, like the All Solar Research Vessel project that will be used to go around the oceans on the earth and try to clean up some of the mess that is in the ocean, and trying to provide some real guidance to people, to provide them with help in their drinking water and their food and their shelter and lots of other things too. And there's like the total universal rainforest that is in the process of beginning to take place in Baja, Mexico, to turn the desert land back into a rainforest or a food forest, to learn how to become self-sufficient, have maybe a little more freedom than is what's going on here in America. Of all the words there are on earth, in all these ways that are being presented to people through TV and radio and through the modern technology, there's seemingly no end to all kinds of words and guidance. But to find out what's really going on, the New Presentation is the only one presenting this new you connection, to be involved with the real guides and to find a way to earn our way out of this place that's called psych realms, which is the physical, that we're in our bodies and on this earth, which is the lowest place in life. And there's the astral, and that's our emotional place or body or world. And then that's where we have what we think is the ideas here in the physical of love and fear and all kinds of experiences that we feel strongly about. And there's a causal plane, and we have a causal body, and this is our memory body, where our past is pretty much recorded in our brains here in the in the psychic realms. And then we have a mental body, realm, world, and that's where we get our ideas, or it's where we think and I guess create certain things from our thoughts here in this part of the psychic realms. Then we have an etheric body, realm, world, which is where what's called intuition, our intuitive self body is. And around all these places, realms, worlds, bodies, we have what's called a deep dark border. It's like a shell that separates the psychic realms from the real universes, where there's real freedom and real love, not just the kind that we think of here on Earth, the emotional stuff, where there aren't any authoritarians or brutalitarians. So we go through this process in the psychic realms to, I guess it's called temper us, to get to a point where we've had enough experiences so we can compare what isn't real to what is real. So it's a big process, it seems like, to go through. But if we don't or aren't ready to find out for ourselves about this new presentation, what's being presented to this world and these other psychic realms, that we'll probably have to be continually reincarnating back into these bodies. And it'll be a lot more what's called suffering or hard lessons or deformed bodies, because you can see what's taking place on the earth right now. Our water's being contaminated, and our air's being contaminated, and our food's being contaminated. So when things are not pure, they cause the physical body to not have very good structure or health or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of people that have to keep coming back into a new body, it'll be worse than things are right now. It's getting worse and worse in many ways. So it's an opportunity to get to find out about how to earn our way out of these psychic realms into these real universes that are endless. And so we are allowed or able to be in the real universes forever. I'll read a little bit of one of the new books by Dwayne the Great Rider. This one is called Your Dream Visions. And it sounds like this is a good book to start with. It's called New Book 2 by Dwayne the Great Rider, which is available at lulu.com. There's a lot of information on this technical stuff. It's internet stuff about the new presentation and the wonderful worldwide educators that you can look up and find out about. So I'll begin with opening the book up and reading some of it so you get an idea, a little hint of what's in these books. With society as it is, many people have anxiety dreams from what they put themselves through in the workplace and with their relationships. The business of today many times forces its workers to frantically get the job done at all costs, which means that it will cost those involved as they emotionally stress for their survival. For some reason, most people keep thinking in the terms that what they are experiencing here is how life is. But what has been created here is what life isn't. Many times people are going through what they have actually put themselves in from the past, which are similar situations from past lives. Because the unconscious likes to continually experience what it has come to know, it will take second best with the pleasure principle if it cannot get what it really wants. What I am laying out here is how all the unaware humans of the earth are actually out of control, as they are controlled by their desires and likes and dislikes and not any real sensibility. As long as a person continues with their so-called normal life, they will be at the mercy of their subconscious mind and all it desires. And with this routine, the influence has a field day. The standard life only entails more karma and reincarnation. All those spooky movies about past lives and hauntings from the psych realms are very true. And a lot of people do experience them because they have opened themselves up to the negative forces and do not know how to plug the holes. Only the real guides can ward off the offenders, and not those funny guys with crosses around their necks and the hocus-pocus smoking pots. Most religions are already part of so many of the mishaps in people's lives. Someone I have known for many years who used to attend my classes lives here in Southern California, and for the most part is a sensible person, except when it comes to her emotional life. She has always hit the wall, so to speak. Well, this young gal has been a heavy drinker for the longest time and also hooked herself to some psychic endeavors along with her strange family relationships. So, it is not hard to see why she opened a hole in the psych forces that was actually a type of doorway, like in the first Ghostbuster movie. The portal was in her bedroom, and several other people I was teaching years ago experienced the gruesome entity that emerged from the opening. One fellow who was in my class actually wrestled with it late one night when he heard it coming into his house. This was not even a dream, but an actual physical encounter. Society does not understand the real and awful negative forces many are into. The radical so-called music of today, which is not really music, but bad vibrations, connects one to the lowest of the astral worlds, along with excessive alcohol and drugs, where all the demons reside and are constantly looking for a way to get at and influence others, and also destroy the humans. Many of these lost souls in the bowels of what the church calls their hell were once people like anyone else, until they began to do dastardly deeds and align themselves with the lowest of influences. This is why I am so blatant about what I am exposing. I am actually trying to warn everyone, even the imbeciles who are always wanting to take complete control of the world and everyone on it. Many of them will end up in the lower astral hells and will be waking up to a constant nightmare for the longest time. The astral hells are not eternal like the church wants their followers to believe, as they use the eternal damnation ploy because they want to scare them into being supportive and not wander about and give their time and money to someone else. The movies and music of today many times plays to the negative emotions of people for their support and their money in the same way. If you have been paying attention to what I have written so far, then you will see how the pleasure principle is working in people's lives almost without their consent. The pleasure principle is the basic nature of humans, and the marketing manipulators figured this out a long time ago when it all started with the first prostitute. Today, people do themselves over with raunchy music, video games, cell phones stuck to their heads, and mainly being bored because they have no real purpose, challenge, or real adventure in their lives. All they really have is a seemingly endless array of phenomena to get lost in. It is not my position to say what a person should or shouldn't do, but there is so much more to life. But it takes a lot of real effort to make it happen. The earth life is simply a dimension all its own, among other dimensions, seen and unseen. Each basic level of life has many regions, states of consciousness, and vast multitudes of personal arenas any of us can experience. The basic principle of life is simple. Simply pick your position. It is in the same sense as one would choose their career, even though a person is still doing all the other things that entail their life, such as raising a family, playing sports, and taking trips for fun and pleasure. But the center of operations is the career one has chosen, because it supports everything else. And so it is with a real universal position, as it gives a person the absolute freedom to do whatever and be anywhere without restriction, as long as they do not interfere with anything else. The human awareness, which entails the pleasure principle, usually does not want to confront itself in so much of the worthlessness it puts itself through. So instead it creates agreements that look really good to the onlooking unaware, and voila, you have a whole gamut of institutionalized productions to the general public and whatever else can be invented to entice the minds of the unsuspecting to get their money and support. I would recommend learning about the various levels of life and how they apply to a person's life. Then one will see and learn so much more. and actually start to move into the higher areas and experience what very few ever do. So much of what is experienced today is from the creation of desires from past lives. When this country was being built, a lot of people lost their lives early, and so the desire to complete what they started still exists within them. But as time and events continue on at the fast pace they do, so does the desire to continually do more until one finds a better replacement for what is on the earth alone. Life makes sense, and it is a lot more fun to understand what is already taking place as opposed to all the created ideas that are usually silly stories to entice people into becoming a donor for something that leads them astray. When we center on really learning about ourselves with real guidance, our life changes the way we want it to, and not according to so many of the good-sounding ideas that are merely words for sale. That's some of what Dwayne the Great Writer wrote in the new book 2, Your Dream Visions. There's 9 books available in the Adventurous series, and you can get a hold of them at lulu.com. Book 1 is From Then to Now. New book 2 is A Journey to Real Freedom. New book 3, The Real Far Country. New book 4, The Adventures of Rebus Tars. New book 5, The New Wave is the Real Rod of Purity. New book 6, Your Dream Visions. New book 7, Rebus Tars and the Golden Guides. New book 8, Blue Sky Island. And there's a new book 9, The Truth About Eckankar, which is another religious organization. So anyway, this isn't to influence anybody. It's just to warn fellow beings that if we don't take the opportunity when it's offered right now to find out for ourselves by testing the new You song about what life's all about, what's real, that this law of cause and effect here in the psych realms just brings us back over and over in new bodies and with authoritarians and brutalitarians and whatever you might call aliens that control all the humans, whether the humans know it or not. This is a human farming prison planet. We're being used, and this is an opportunity to earn our way out of these psych realms so we don't have to be controlled by these brutalitarians anymore. So I guess I've said enough for now. So I'll end the show with the song New You. See ya.